Today I will be looking at a modification I did of the chopper model of the robotic arm VEX Robotics stem starter construction set. Unfortunately, the only instructions that were physically inside the box were the ones for the arm, which is right on the box. So, in order to find the base instructions for the chopper, I had to go to the website of vexrobotics.com. I'll put a link or something, and let's take a look at what I did. Looking at the model, I can hold it to the side, and I'll point to what I changed about it. So, in the back, this part wasn't supposed to go all the way so that you can spin it. Instead, it went just a bit and stopped. So, you really just kind of had to throw it like that to spin. Another thing I did was add some gears so that you can crank it on the side, causing the blades to actually spin. Removing the right side of the machine, you can see inside to find the gears that allow the propeller to spin. One thing I did not point to before was that I added some wheels and flipped the landing gear upside down. Removing the left side, we can take a better look at how I put together the new crank system. So, the side of it and the extra part up here all were part of the regular side, and up here were all part of the normal design. So, to make it crank, of course I had to put an axle and the little handle lever. For the actual gears to turn, I'm using the center little gear, and that lets it actually spin. But these extra 3 gears are just here for stability. Another thing is these connections up here, here, and here, which are also located on the side, have been extended from the parts that were originally there. Instead of these small pieces, we had to extend it to these longer black ones with little spacers inside. It just gives it enough room so that the gears can properly move. One other thing, when we take a look in here, is that the rod has to hit something to give it stability. So these supports were already here because the side holes gave a place for these sides to peg into. But in order to help this little modification, I added one of these longer pieces on the side, well, inside. And to keep it rather stable, I have the little rubber stopper right up here. And just to extend it, I added this part to space it so it's a bit higher. And to make sure that it can actually spin, I have a 3x3 gear set, I guess. So that gives it the ability to turn when the gear down here is moved. The landing gear of the helicopter was originally supposed to peg in with the curved underside, but instead I took the piece, flipped them around, and have them curved down. And in order to make some landing gear, the wheels, in the front I took these 2-hole and 2-peg right angle connectors, plug them in, and for the front wheels are composed of these 1-1 peg holes and these flat-ended connectors, which have this square end piece. So I take it, plug it in, and you just stick one of the little rubber wheels on top. And that goes in the front with the wheel inward. But in the back, I sort of ran out of these 2-hole 2 connectors. So to improvise, you can take a 2 connector, 2-peg, 1-hole, 90-90, whatever you want to call it, connector. And you take a 1-hole 2-peg connector like this, pop them together, and pop it in the back. Then again, the same wheel setup, pop it in back like that, and set the whole thing. Dang it, put in the wrong one. Set the whole thing in. Like that. That gives it a little bit of rolling ability. To make the new rudder, you do take the normal rudder that was shown in the official instructions, but instead you want to add these 2 1-peg, 1-hole 90-degree connectors and set them inside the back, making sure that the holes can line up, because we're going to then take this piece, this axle, which is just long enough to get through all of it, and have a bit less than a pinky on each side. From there, oops. From there, we can take two thin spacer circles, kind of washers, but they're still plastic. We set them in the front. Then you take the propeller, or whatever it is, and you want to make sure that it can pop right in. To make sure that it doesn't fall off the front, you take, if you're not exactly a wheel, rubber piece, set it inside. So now it's a bit more difficult to take that off. But in the back, you want to take another spacer, set it in, and you take this wheel, which comes as the inside and then the rubber part. So you can pop that together, snap that on, and you have a little wheel to crank it. That's as much detail as I'm going to go into. Goodbye.